Let's start. Greetings.
What's up? What's up?
Yeah,
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing.
What's that? I can't hear you. I can't hear the audience. What are you saying? Louder. How are you doing?
Doing fine.
Oh, okay. I heard that. So this is a global sandwich, and I think we should talk about inclusion.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you had read my mail.
I was thinking about inclusion before.
Okay.
And then I was thinking about when you said I'll put your name as gender neutral. Then I was like, yeah, that's it. So we were.
Yeah.
Or I did you say gender neutral? Yeah, you said gender neutral. Yeah, for sure.
Prophetic confirmation.
So one of the interesting things about inclusion, I believe, and this is a law of attraction thing for me, which everybody doesn't necessarily buy into it. But I believe that if you want anything, the best way to get it is to give it.
Interesting, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of groups, probably every group that really wants people to be inclusive towards them. They felt for a long period of time of being on the outskirts of societies. They've been herded in different areas in other groups, but they felt on the outskirts of societies. And instead of saying it's bad not to block people out, they're blocking people out too. So they've come up with words like inclusion, but they're discluding, which I think is the opposite of inclusion. They're disclosing the old white guys. They're not, they think the old white guys should be, and this happens a lot of different ways, but let's use this as an example. They're not being inclusive, and they're not telling their story in a way that explains it in a humble place. They want to attack some of these old white guys that might just be old white guys that haven't done anything bad.
Say that again.
So me getting mad at every white person for American slavery, every white person all over the world for American slavery, when none of the people walking this planet were Afro-American slave owners.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All the slave owners have died off. Is there modern, like sometimes they'll say the NBA is like modern day slavery? No, motherfucker. There's like regions in this world that there's still like actual slavery. Yeah. There's sex trafficking, like real shit.
I'll take it.
What was that?
Give me a job in the NBA. I want to play for somewhere. I'll take it.
Yeah. The problem is you can't play basketball.
No, I can't. But
not NBA level.
NBA level, no.
Yeah, no. I'll go 100%. I'll say you're better than me, but you're still not NBA level.
I was really good here in Europe. I was really good, and then I came to America to a really crappy team, and it was just a bench warmer. So I don't think I'm really good in America.
Yeah, for sure.
It was way back, but still, so I was even better back then than today because I haven't played. I only play soccer right now. I'm better at basketball, but I have more fun playing soccer. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, yeah, go back to the topic.
And you're better than me at both soccer and basketball. If you saw me play, you're being humble. But you're being humble. But if you saw me play, you'd be like, "Oh yeah."
So you're not good at ball sports, or?
I was baseball, and I played baseball and football.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I played football for American football. You're talking about American football, right?
Yes.
Yes. It doesn't even exist here. Like I went to the States and okay, so this is on a tangent, but it's funny. And yeah, so I went and played American football for the first time, and put that gear on. Had no clue, like I was just didn't know where to run, didn't know what to do, and then somebody hit me, so hard, and I just saw this guy like really long. I saw this guy, and then I landed on my back, and within no time they said, "Oh wow, you're a really good kicker. So you're gonna be the kicker. That's the only thing you do. All the rest you can forget about it, And I was so happy about it.
It's an interesting thing, and I'm going to bring this back full circle of what we're talking about. Is football's hard. It's nearly impossible if you don't know the rules.
Yes.
Because then you're spending so much energy just to figure out what the rules are that you can't even put any of that towards getting leverage, getting grounded, and all that stuff, because you don't know the basic rules. So that's what's happening in a lot of these. Life's not a pendulum. Gay, straight, male, female, women were talking about and having conversations amongst themselves. That's why women go to the bathroom together, because what they're doing is they're downloading what exactly was going on. They're having conversations. They're meeting with other women that are strangers, talking in the bathroom. Very socialized. And I'm generalizing, but it's pretty accurate. And then they have those conversations. Now those are podcasts. And now people are looking at that, seeing how women think, and they're like, is this a new thing? No, this was developing for a long period of time. Same thing with African Americans. They're having conversations that haven't necessarily evolved, and this is for all groups, all tribalism. They haven't necessarily evolved properly. So I don't necessarily know all the rules going into a woman's a woman. So I'm spending so much energy trying to figure out the rules. It takes a lot of energy to go through this. I mean, I've learned, and doing lift helps me with this. It's also like somebody gets in, and I try to see the world of, I try to see the person, even if it's somebody I know, I try to see him with fresh eyes every time I see him. Because they're not like, oh, I'm conservative, I'm on this identity like all the time. And so life's not a pendulum. It's a skateboard park. It's like this. People are going all around this skateboard park of their identities changing from every moment to every moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's just like you being out on the football field, as we could all imagine, or us being in a vulnerable position for something that we just had no idea what we're doing. Could be a salsa dancing class. And I believe putting ourselves in different worlds and uncomfortable situations, what sucks a lot of the time, gives us that humility.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
That's there. You could there's let's take Stephen Hawking's. The fact that he was very a genius by mainstream standards. Lots of people. I believe the reason why I was putting quote unquote, because I believe everybody's a genius. Are we aligned in our genius? Is it working out in this reality for most of us? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But some people, the mainstream genius, based on the social construct of rules that we put together, the mainstream genius, Stephen Hawking's, him being in a wheelchair, not being able to move, he had to rely on people. That he learned humility from that. And that made him a more wise opposed to just smart person.
Mm-hmm.
But also, he couldn't necessarily, because he's just one person, and he has one lifetime, and he has 24 hours a day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if we learn in the skateboard park, we can learn from other people. This passenger I just gave a ride to me, and it says that knowledge, that Bob Marley defined wisdom as listening.
Mm-hmm.
He said wisdom listens. I don't know the exact quote. Said wisdom listens. And yeah, wisdom listens and pays attention and sees things from fresh eyes. Don't think, oh, this is a white person they're wearing a suit. They were my ancestor's slave master. I mean, that person could have been from Europe, could have been here for 100 years, could have been a total self-made person, woke up, you don't know. And even if they did come from privilege, doesn't mean that they're a bad person.
No, I just ended up with some, I don't know if they, it felt like they might have been really, at least connected to really rich people. There was something with a Bentley, there was a $20,000 expensive carpet, there was a piece of art that I know, and it was a fake. But of course, if you're a random person coming to somebody's place and it's a real piece of art that is world famous, of course it's going to be a fake, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know, but these people were just amazing people, like really the kindest people. Oh, there was a Karl Lagerfeld sweater, you know. So just 3 people, but full of love. We spent so much time. It was so amazing. And I don't know, you know, of course I wasn't asking, you know, but so that exactly confirms what you're saying, you know. Yeah.
So there's and I'm talking about a lot of groups. I believe every group, every individual needs to evolve, including you and I. I'm speaking more to the audience on that. You and I know that, and we don't know it every moment. There's a movement on. I saw this on the San Diego State bench. And it was like 3 words, and I'm like, can't even remember the 3 words. But virtually, there's groups of Native Americans that want their land back.
Mm-hmm.
And well, look, there's got to be a happy medium before that. What does that look like? Did the casinos play part of it? And people would get in an argument without me saying, well, why are you sticking up for this situation? Because that's another genocide. Say that them getting their land back, that's another genocide.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like whatever the collective like searches, if they can find a way with it, which they can't, even in families of who gets the room that we're talking about this, that's for if everybody was like you and I, that would be a lot easier to pull off. Mm-hmm. Everybody's not you like me. A lot of people have guns. Them getting their land back, whether the government says they get their land back or whatever this is, there's lots of people with guns.
Yeah, in America. Yeah.
That will fight for what that little phrase of 3 words says.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm not trying to justify either side. I'm saying the world that we live in is very abundant. There's something that will serve both masters in that.
Mm. Yeah.
And we have to figure that out. The stuff that went on the reservations and the stuff that was like even play part of the hands of the Catholic Church of creating these schools and not letting Native Americans use their language and cutting down communications. And then you hear some people say, oh, they gave the Native Americans clothes and it had smallpox. That's why a lot of them died off.
Like on purpose?
No, they're saying some people will rewrite history and say that it was accidental. And I'm coming from a place that says, I don't know. Mm. Because what we do know is we know the schools that they took away their culture and lots of trauma and lots of really fucking doing vicious things to people happened. Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
what was that?
Yes. Of course, a lot of these things happened, yeah.
And I can understand why there's lots of revenge on people's hearts. And I can understand if I was in the same situation. And I understand if I was around people that had this same animosity, including African Americans, including like women. Like, if I stayed around that, like I'm somebody that's like, I act based on how I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. So I can't be around angry people. because they just might be just like angrily venting. I'm gonna create action on that. So I got to create from a place of peace that goes there. So
you walk away.
Yeah, or I walk away, sometimes run. Sometimes run. So
sometimes you joke around and make them laugh.
For sure. Then run. Then run. So going back to inclusion, if we really want, we gotta monitor this stuff by piece, because I'm not going to put any energy towards the next genocide.
Yeah.
Or the current genocides that are going on in the world. Not putting any energy towards that. We have to look in the mirror and meditate on like a balanced amount of what the place is. Were the casinos enough?
Where the casino is enough.
What was that?
What? Casino?
Casinos. So the Native Americans in America, they got enough. I know on reservations there's a different laws on reservations. It's not guided by federal law.
Yeah.
That's so
like the one.
But also there had to be some voting for there to be casinos.
Oh yeah.
So that I don't know how. So that was like a reparations for the genocide.
Yeah, it's their own land basically. It's kind of a land inside the land, right? It's inside America, and it's their own government.
For sure. So what's something else, because they never took care of what's causing the current trauma with Native Americans. They've never taken care of what's caused the trauma with ancestors of African American slaves.
Who?
They've never, the people individually and as a collective amount. And I think it's a lot simple. One is being able to listen. That's a perfect example of this. Instead of like talking about the problems and everything, a perfect example is Nelson Mandela went to prison for 27 years. And then he's out for a short period of time. Then he becomes president of South Africa. And then he didn't launch a genocide to reverse the other one. He put together a level of forgiveness on steroids. So people that did really fucking shitty, and we're not talking about many generations or hundreds and hundreds of years ago, even though like shit happens to African Americans like still currently. I'm not saying that. Yeah, but what he did, but we're talking about real, like more shit in South Africa happening, like currently he gets out and he just has these plantation owners beg to people to forgive them. Say, we did this. We're sorry that we did this. We know it's wrong now. To that level. And just series of that, and that kept another genocide. And South Africa is not perfect, I mean, based on that transition, but it kept from another genocide. Could you imagine? I mean, as privileged as you and I are, and how much, even though we're minimalists, that we like the finer things in life, going to prison for 27 years and then coming out with that attitude.
Yeah, I was in prison and for 1 hour, and I had a pretty big attitude. I was so mad. I called the police guard and I said, "What the fuck? What am I doing here? Why? I'm gonna go to the newspaper. You know, this is not right. Whatever." And
for sure,
you go mad within an hour. You think, shit, what if I'm happy? What if I'm staying here forever? You know? And where's my fucking belt? My pants are always falling down. Because they take it away from you, so don't hang it.
Yeah.
So that happened to me once. For
so that's
traffic
traffic
stuff.
Thanks. thanks for that example. You're talking about an hour of trauma, and Nelson Mandela was able to well, an hour of trauma that you
so
turned into
much
more.
to get to know this experience, to be put into a cell. Like, I mean, that's really a violation. You can't be put into a cell for violation of something, an offense in traffic, you know. So, and
So anybody that's listening, think about what Yaniq is saying in his experience, and think about when you've been put in a cell, whether it's a bad relationship, when you've been put in a cell, being part of the patriarch that feminists may think. As an African American, when you've been put in a cell with that slavery mentality and people not listening to you, and you being in corporations and not being able to be your true self, think about those prisons. Whether it's 10 years, 5 years, or 1 hour. Nelson Mandela is an example of somebody that went into prison for 27 years and was able to get out and go into different worlds. And I challenge you to watch the Nelson Mandela movie. And see that he used rugby to get out there, and he didn't spend a lot of time. He just spent a lot of time in the solution. And he got people that did a lot of heinous stuff that if you don't know about it, you'll probably agree if you watch the movie. Most likely you'll agree to watch the movie. And if you made it this far, you would definitely agree. But the fact that he was able to not just ask people that created a lot of trauma to forgive, he was able to get people that where lots of trauma was inflicted to accept that forgiveness. So there wasn't another genocide. The world has enough genocides. There's Ukraine right now, Yemen right now. Do you know any other ones?
30. There's another 28. I mean, wars, not all genocides. Yeah. But
okay. Would you consider Palestine a genocide?
No. I mean,
okay.
No. If I don't know how, I don't really know. You know, I'm not a scientist about what is the definition of the word genocide. For me, it has to be on a bigger scale, I guess, to be a genocide. You know, if one person decides.
So you being in prison for an hour, that was a genocide. But no, I'm messing with you.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
messing with you.
That's.
But you see how people let's step back and not
genocide is a murder based on race and or like a minority being murdered because of their traits, you know. So that's my understanding of a genocide. And
okay,
I don't know if if it's one person doing it and doing it to one little group, like 5 people, is that a genocide? I don't know, but it doesn't matter, you know, like the point is the same.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's shit that you and I don't find good. Lots of it happening.
Yeah.
On in many different angles. There's in the continent of Africa, there's lots of it. This going with different tribes of Africans to Africans. It's like this stuff's happening all over the globe. No question about this. It's happening in a lot of African American communities here in the US. Let's not use the word genocide, but just like we're not operating at a level that we're near our potential to be good citizens of the world and treat people of the basics of, and I'm not Christian, I'm spiritual, but the basics of what people say this country was founded on. You know, even the Christians aren't being Christian.
You have to say windy, not spiritual. Windy, I'm windy. Because
what is it?
You have to say I'm windy.
Why is
because
that?
because the word Holy Spirit, I mean, that's where it's coming from, right? So the word Holy Spirit is just the wrong translation. It's supposed to be translated special wind or special breath. So you can also say I'm breathtaking or something.
Got it. It's funny. It's funny, as you saw when you said that. I looked to the side. There's a Wendy's. The the name Wendy. It's right. It's like right like 200 feet away from me.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You have to find out what that means.
oh, it's a restaurant
Yeah,
named
I
after the
know.
guy. Yeah.
After what?
Oh, named after a guy's daughter, Wendy.
Was Wendy, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but Wendy sounds like Wendy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Especially when Wendy's good at blowing.
what?
I said, especially when Wendy's good at blowing.
Yes.
That's an example of language that's not inclusive.
Maybe some people will not like it, but you know.
Yeah. But that's another thing we that doesn't necessarily make me a bad person.
No.
Do I understand, like, if you're a woman and we're in a corporate structure and we're at work, how me saying stuff like that can really affect you over time? 100%. But also, we can't expect everybody in the world to live by our rules, our tribe. Do we want to cut certain things on the fringe of society that are too far, like pedophilia?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. So we got to be able to speak these different languages and know other people are doing it. We gotta go into different worlds and speak that. But also, you can't expect me to always be speaking a certain way, like all the time. You can't control the way I move outside of it.
People, there's so much bullshit that I say, like, but it's always a good intention. I can tell you 100% all the bullshit people get offended at my stuff. It's always with a good intention. I realize sometimes when people get offended at something, that when I ponder about it and I say the whole thing again to me and imagine how it sounds, and then, oh yes, okay, that sounds this way. So what people don't get is like there's so much unnecessary offense because people usually don't have a bad intention. They're just saying stuff that has a different music in their brain when they're saying it than the music that's received. So learning how to communicate is important. Learning how to listen is also important,
I want to give you an example. I had a woman that I gave a ride to, and she was going to the airport and she was flying to a place, and she said that her mother-in-law was used to be in porn, and then they had a business set up to sell products based on her mother-in-law being in porn. So we're talking a Muslim woman in Muslim garb was telling me that her mother-in-law was in porn.
Okay.
And that's an interesting conversation for me.
Did she become
even the fact
that, or
what was that?
Was that becoming a Muslim a reaction to that, or was that?
You know how like somebody that would be in the U.S. living that's wearing Muslim garb would be very conservative Muslim. So they I don't know if she necessarily goes by Sharia law, but she probably goes by a lot of those different things. Yeah. So she's guarding how she's dressed. So the fact that her mother-in-law does porn, like I'm sure her mother-in-law gets a lot of death threats based on the fact that she's a Muslim. Her mother-in-law is also a Muslim woman, obviously not somebody that's into Sharia law, but and very conservative. But she was comfortable with it. The fact that she was going to the business for that.
Pretty cool that she talked about it. I mean, it
was cool. It was a cool conversation. And one of the interesting things was I gave her a ride again and I didn't recognize her right away. Then halfway through the ride, I go, "Were you the one?" And she clammed up. So she was comfortable the first time, wasn't comfortable the second time.
Yeah, maybe something happened in between,
Maybe sometimes somebody says racist jokes to me, I laugh. Sometimes I'm not in the mood. Or sometimes like know me for 5 minutes before you start saying stuff. But also I know that I'm like saying shit like all the time and inappropriate stuff coming from a good place like you are, but let people say you can't measure that. And you're not saying that, I'm not saying you say racist stuff. We didn't get into like the inappropriate or what people say that you say type stuff. So it's interesting like what paradigm somebody's coming from. So sometimes people can't see me because they're only coming from one perspective, and they expect me to come from one perspective.
I like for I don't like political correctness. I think I'm pretty politically correct, but I don't like it actually. Yeah, people are very hurt,
I gave a ride
cooler with language. Language is language. Language is not violence to me. Language is not violence. Languages should be free. Language should never, in my opinion, never there should be punishment for saying something. I think this is very dangerous for society. Actually,
let me say something. That how about there's a lot of people that think language is violence.
I know, and I disagree 100% with them. I think what they're trying to do something good.
Can you pause for a second? I want to make this point, and then you can go. So they think language is violence. Pause so we can.
So, okay. I meant pause. Yeah, I got you. Okay, so, I thought you meant to pause.
So there's a lot of people that think language is violence, and you said that you disagree with that. But aren't they a little off when they are saying certain things about other people and they're not considering, like, if I believe that language is violence, and then I don't think it's violent that I'm saying certain things to other people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's my belief.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a particular something. Like, I believe language can be violent.
It can
be here and there.
It depends on
what was that?
Violent, it can be hurtful, but it's
I know, like, like, if you were able to somebody my age was able to say certain words and haze a young person 8 online to commit suicide.
What's haze?
Haze, like, listen, they're able to say haze is to pick on bully. I was able to bully somebody online that's 8 to commit suicide. That's where I'm saying that's when words can be violent.
Yes, but yeah, I agree. It's similar. This is a very special case, in this case, if we accept that one case to be punished, we open the box of Pandora and we creating an America. I'm glad in America freedom of speech is really taken seriously, because in Germany we're on our way to make speech on the internet. You can get fined for it, and this is not okay. It's not okay in a free society to find speech, because how can you ever decide when something is too much? And also nobody has so much control about their speech. It's some people have no control over their bodies and are violent. I agree with that too, but I think speech is really hard to control, and you say wrong things way too quickly, and yeah, this is going to the wrong way, because then this opens a possibility for government to go after people that they want to get rid of, for opinions they want to get rid of, and this is much more dangerous.
So I think you're looking at it like this, and I'm agreeing with you, but I'm thinking it's a skateboard park. It's not a pendulum.
Yeah, I think powerful people are just they have so much advantages, and if they get whiny about a few evil emails or comments, then they're just whiny, you know, like they're not realizing that this is not necessarily a threat. You know, a threat is a real threat, but not.
And I also, I think the main point that I'm making in that situation is people are expecting other people to live by their rules and their beliefs, but they're not being aligned with their rules and beliefs.
Everybody's
And
guilty,
that,
no doubt about it.
well,
Everybody's guilty, and if you don't understand that, you haven't understood what's happening.
oh yeah, that's, yeah, we need to collectively evolve. Like, but it's an individual collective. In order to evolve collectively, we all have to evolve individually too.
We're all designed to fail.
And
It's
that's I could go back and forth on a lot of his stuff, but Jordan Peterson has this concept is like clean your own room. So instead of trying to fix the world, clean your own room first.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are just, and I experienced that, and speaking in front of a class at San Diego State, because I was able to observe a lot of things that are going on in campus, and they were saying, oh, when we get they were talking about the project was for them to create societies. Perfect is like, okay, we're gonna have a parliamentary system. We're gonna have it make sure that there's a gay person on it. Da, 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 da. Like they had it all perfectly lined up, and I went on as a guest speaker after it, and I was like, I've been around campus for 8 years now. I come on campus 300 days a year. I go, you guys talk about your ivory towers that you want to create and everything, but you treat each other like shit now.
Mm-hmm. What?
I tell them, you guys are treating each other like shit.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about because you got a degree, when you get out of school, all of a sudden you're going to create these perfect societies.
Yeah, that's what I see in parliamentary discussions.
Yeah, but I go, but you're treating. Oh yeah.
What do they think? Do they think we're stupid? Like, I mean, do they think we think that's great? I mean, everybody, they don't even realize, you know.
but also that's not all bad either.
Not all, yeah, but
and not all bad. Yeah, I mean, like I let's measure it by the fruits that are created.
It's hard.
Like, no, I'm saying that's what we have to measure it, and I don't think you could create peace through by perpetual violence. I agree with you on that situation, but for me, when I go in, like I have a client that I'm because of his company broke down last time, I'm creating a culture around helping him find out the right culture that fits with what they're trying to produce and create in the world. And I don't think a good Albert Einstein quote is, you can't create a new energy by aligning with the energy that created it in the beginning. So you can't create new shit with being aligned with the old shit.
Mm-hmm. Funny that that's the second quote you just mentioned in 5 minutes that are both identical with quotes of Jesus, but they're different quotes, but they're the same meaning.
Yeah, for sure. It's we're all in the same algorithm.
Yes. There's a beautiful quote before you go on, before I forget, because I just saw it in the gym by Muhammad Ali. And it's the best way to fulfill your dream is to wake up.
Oh, nice. That's beautiful. And that could be that can mean a lot. I mean, not an unlimited amount of things, but that can mean a lot of things in different on different days.
Yes. Yeah. 10 minutes.
Okay. So this is complicated. No question about it. And one of the things that a lot of people miss out on is becoming the person that they need to become to live their purpose. The person they need to become to be an awesome husband or wife and have a good family. You have to become the person you need to become. You can't stay on the energy that created all the problems in the past, but also made you aware of the solutions and where you had to move to. You gotta evolve. Everything in the world evolves. Another quote, they say you can't step in the same river twice. So a lot of us are stressed because
you drown in the first one, or
yeah, like right now, I'm more stressed than I normally am, because a lot of the stuff around that you met me when I was just like sitting on the chair at Starbucks with not a care in the world are coming together, keep on continually coming to me and coming together. And now I'm like I was like, you know what? That dude sitting there was like so confident, felt like he could do everything, not any stress. Now shit's coming together and he's stressed.
exactly. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I was like, the world, like I can't say I had nothing, because I had knowledge. I could have moved towards a lot of things that would have fed me temporarily, but I wouldn't have been happy. But I would only yeah, I'm not moving unless I do stuff that feeds my soul, or I'm getting paid $1,000 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, nobody was paying me $1,000 an hour, but I wouldn't move based off my path unless somebody was paying me $1,000 an hour. Mm-hmm. Years after that, I was like, no, I have to create that. I have to move. I have to get more kinetic. And like, if you have a cloud, like you can't even, if your office is a cloud, you can't even put a desk on it. You got to ground your ideas a little more.
Yeah. And
I'm speaking. Go ahead.
It fits with this other quote of Ram Dass. I think it's if you think you're enlightened, spend 1 week with your family. it fits into the same idea.
Oh, that's beautiful.
When your life starts picking up with everything, then you get so stressed because there's so much shit you have to do, you know, like run after. I mean, you don't have to, but you want to, you know, because otherwise, you know,
it's easy to do a lot of stuff under perfect circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Like when in a perfect circumstances, no adversity, no chaos coming towards you.
Exactly. That's what white people forget about black, like about you know, I'm saying black people now, it's very generalized, but it's because the environment is just not the same. You know, when you grow up in a well-educated family, well-ventilated place, you know, food in the fridge, you don't have to take, like, everything is like so in order. Then you can open up your computer, you can learn how, you know what I mean? It's like it's everything around you that is your grace to succeed, you know. And then many of these people, they're so blind. They think that actually when they judge people, well, why don't they get a job, or, you know, like, why don't they go to school, you know? There's complete, it's like Marie Antoinette, you know, the queen of France that was beheaded, who apparently, and they're not sure about it, but who apparently said that they don't have bread. Well, why don't you give them cake, you know? So that's, they don't understand. And that's why you sometimes have to do what the Buddha did.
How much time do we have?
5 minutes.
Okay, and go ahead, and then I want to end it.
The Buddha, apparently, I don't know, of course, if it's true, but he was rich, right? He was a rich guy, and he went and experienced poverty. But it was his choice, you know. So, so you only really understand if you, I mean, you can also educate yourself. You will understand, you can grasp it, but you will only really 100% grasp it if you have lived it, you know. So
for sure. So real quick, in the end, so we get it under an hour. So we have privilege, and then we have adversity. I believe adversity is bullshit, but it's manure. What is bullshit? It's manure. So and we all operate off of privilege and adversity. And as we're growing, and it's hard from a guy that did grow up in a privileged household. And there's a lot of Black people that grow up in privileged household, or they become privileged, and a lot of times they lose sight of that same grind or whatever that situation is. But ultimately, it's instead of asking outside forces to change, you can tap into your adversity, because you want to change the world, change your perception and change your reality. That's how you change the world. It's the easiest way. Instead of, it's because the other way, when I'm trying to get everybody to change so I'm better, it's like pushing a rope, trying to push people by pushing a rope. Once the rope, like tug of war, you pull this way and you can pull somebody this way. But if you try and push them with a rope, it doesn't happen. So look at yourself, focus on yourself, think about how you can change. Groups, think about how we can change. And that's the best way, is individually you can change the world. And there's going to be some stuff. So say there's you live in a town and there's 1,000 businesses and 999% of them are racist and won't hire Black people. You only need one job. Find the place that they're not, that you can thrive.
Yeah.
And also, I'm coming from a privileged place like the US. There might be places that's all 1,000 are that way.
Yeah. And if you're, by the way, if you're Black American, if you come to Europe, you're privileged in Europe. You're like somebody cool, like just as an idea, like you might, because as an American, it doesn't matter if you're a Lebanese American or whatever American. If you go to any other place, you're privileged. You're an American. You're something special. You're from the place that leads the world, like the world leader in culture and many things. And another thing I wanted to say, not to contradict you, but there's something like about changing the world. I used to be like really the change the world person, I change the world. But something I think I wonder is if you want to change, if you're about changing the world, you're not in the present, you're still in the future, right? So, but you never live in the future, you always live in the present. So maybe
real quick, the as Buddhism's all about, if you're clinging to the past, holding on to the past, or projecting towards the future. So if you're totally just like living vicariously towards the future and not being happy until all these changes are made, then you're not present with what you need to do and what you need to learn to create a compelling future from right here, right now. So go ahead.
Okay, so I thought it's more like the only way where we can find a changed world, an already changed world, is when we change our perception in the present and see that for example, the interaction that we two have right now is the changed world already, or the paradise kind of state. And as we recognize that, so from a perspective from already done instead of we need to do, there's an energy that's comes, and a thankfulness and a love that comes out of that might change the world more than if we try to change the world. But I think you think the same thing, so I'm just
yeah, for sure. No, yeah, that's also for the audience too. And take a look at it. Everybody's having a different perspective of what we're talking about and where we're going in. So
maximum 2 minutes.
Yeah, let's just cut it off right now. That's a good end.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you want to stay online or just
yeah, sure, get it off.
All right.